Let's go Broncos! While the rest of the American football world dismisses the Denver Broncos as underdogs in this AFC matchup, the truth is, they couldn't be more wrong. There's a secret weapon forming, and when you see all the pieces falling into place, you'll understand why this could be one of the most dangerous teams in the remaining playoffs. But before we dive into what might be the most underrated story of the entire postseason, be sure to like this post if you're rooting for the Broncos all the way. And if you believe in this team's ability to surprise the nation on game day, leave a comment saying, "Go Broncos!" In 2026, we'll be back stronger than ever. Alright, let's go, because what I'm about to reveal could completely change your perspective on this playoff scenario. Now, straight to the point, this game is not what it seems. Yes, the Patriots dropped 28 points on the Houston Texans, but that number is completely misleading. A closer look reveals 5 turnovers from C.J. Stroud and his offense, 4 by Stroud himself and 1 fumble by his running back. One of those turnovers was a pick six. That means New England's offense really only earned 21 points at most, and even that's generous when you realize they had 9 drives that totaled 13 yards or less. Some were even negative yardage drives. That's not an offense firing on all cylinders. That's an offense capitalizing on a fluke game. And speaking of flukes, let's talk about Drake May. He's been praised for his deep ball accuracy, but he's also a fumble machine, 6 fumbles in just 2 playoff games. You think Nick Bonitto and Jonathan Cooper haven't been watching film on that? This is the kind of game those two dream about, pinning their ears back and coming after a quarterback who holds the ball too long, playing behind a shaky offensive line. And that leads us to the next major storyline, Will Campbell. The Patriots left tackle is a liability. Everyone knew it when he came out of college. Short arms, better built to be a guard, not a tackle. Yet here he is, tasked with protecting May's blind side against arguably one of the deepest edge rushing groups in the NFL. Bonitto, Cooper, Jonah Ellis, and even Drew Sanders, who could return this week, are ready to feast. Campbell's already been getting cooked by lower-tier pass rushers, including Raiders defenders nobody can even name. If that's happening at home, in silence, when he knows the snap count, imagine what's going to happen in Mile High, with 70,000 fans screaming at the top of their lungs. He won't be able to hear himself think, let alone keep Bonitto in check. And let's not forget, the Patriots are flying in just 1 day before the game. Scientifically, it takes 24 to 48 hours to begin adjusting to the altitude. That's not just an oversight, it's a critical mistake. The Buffalo Bills came in earlier and still gasped for air by the time overtime rolled around. This Patriots team is walking into a hostile, oxygen-thin environment with zero preparation. That's going to hit hard. On top of that, the Broncos are locking this stadium down. No tickets for fans without Rocky Mountain zip codes. That means a sea of orange, a true Broncos home field advantage like we haven't seen in years. Last week we had 10,000 to 15,000 Bills fans in the building. This week, it'll be pure Broncos country, wall to wall. And remember Josh McDaniels, one of the most reviled names in Denver Broncos history? He'll be on that Patriots sideline calling plays. If you don't think that adds even more fuel to the fire for this defense, you haven't been paying attention. Now, flipping to our offense, Jarrett Stidham is still under center, and the uncertainty around him is actually our advantage. No one knows how to game plan for him. He's got the respect of former teammates like Max Crosby, who called him a foxhole guy and praised his ability to push the ball downfield. The Patriots themselves tried to sign him in the offseason. He's dangerous, and this staff believes in him. Injury updates are also turning in Denver's favor. The signing of wide receiver Brandon Johnson, who's returning to the team, is not just about depth. It signaled something else. The Broncos cut a practice squad center to make room, suggesting starting center Luke Wattenberg is returning from IR. That's a major boost to an offensive line that's been patchwork the last few weeks. But that's not all. Pat Bryant, one of Bo Nix's favorite targets, posted a cryptic Instagram story with the caption "I'm spinning" and a song titled "Get Back." That's as close to confirmation as we can get that he's returning from concussion protocol. J.K. Dobbins also hinted at his return with a throwback jersey post and a forward-facing soon arrow. Let's not forget what Bo Nix did last week, 33 points on a tough Buffalo defense, despite losing 2 of his top receivers early in the game. That tells you everything you need to know about how well this offense is designed and how dangerous it can be, even with injuries. This game against the Patriots is being painted as a long shot for the Broncos by the national media, but everything behind the scenes points in the opposite direction. From the matchup advantages on both sides of the ball, to the altitude, to the roaring home crowd, and now the return of key players, this feels less like an upset waiting to happen and more like a storm the Patriots won't see coming. And one last note before we wrap this part, an agent for a Broncos player canceled a scheduled media interview and told the host it would have to wait until next week. When asked what would happen if they lost, the agent simply replied, "It's not happening, bro." Let's keep this rolling because the story's far from over. While the national media is still sleeping on Denver, the Broncos themselves are moving like a team that knows it's about to shock the world. The attitude inside the building isn't one of underdog nerves. It's quiet confidence, backed by numbers, matchups, and the return of key players at the perfect time. Think about how rare this situation is. You've got a rookie quarterback in Drake May, who's shown flashes, yes, but only in the safety of home turf. Now he's heading into one of the loudest stadiums in football, with the thin air of Denver sucking the wind out of every play, every scramble, every long throw. And what's the Patriots' offensive identity? They rely on the deep ball. But here's the problem. That's where Denver is strongest. Pat Certain locking up Keyshawn Bout, Riley Moss, and Jaquan McMillian on the other side blanketing a fading Stephon Diggs. It's not even close to a favorable matchup for New England. And look, we can all appreciate that Drake May throws a beautiful deep ball, but deep throws require time. And there's no time when Nick Bonito is breathing down your neck before you hit your back foot. And when Bonito needs a break, you've got Jonah Ellis flying in fresh. Or maybe Drew Sanders gets rotated in, a guy who had a sack on Justin Herbert in his very first NFL action. Add in Nader Tillman, and this is no longer just a rotation, it's an onslaught. The Broncos' edge depth isn't just impressive, it's built for this kind of game. And this is where it really gets interesting. If Will Campbell, the Patriots' left tackle, is already struggling with timing and leverage at home, what happens when he can't hear the snap count? What happens when the crowd drowns out the play call and the line is a split second late? It's not a question of if the Broncos get to Drake May, it's how many times. But it's not just the pass rush or the secondary, it's the whole package. This Broncos defense is built to break rhythm. They thrive on disruption. And when you've got a quarterback who's shown he's prone to fumbling under pressure and an offensive line that's springing leaks, the pieces are falling into place perfectly. And let's give some real credit to the front office too. Signing Brandon Johnson was more than just a roster move. It was a chess piece. It signaled confidence in the return of Luke Wattenberg. This isn't a team scrambling for healthy bodies. This is a team putting their pieces back in place, setting the table for a playoff run. Let's also not underestimate how critical Pat Bryant's return is. Bo Nix clearly trusts him. 3 early completions in the last game before Bryant exited with a concussion. That rhythm was building. And when you combine that chemistry with the versatility of J.K. Dobbins, who looks poised to return, it gives Stidham an arsenal to work with. A quarterback who no one knows how to prepare for, paired with a cast of playmakers re-entering the lineup. That's a defensive coordinator's nightmare. Now let's talk a little more about Jarrett Stidham. People act like he's just holding the spot for Bo Nix, but inside the locker room, that's not the vibe at all. Max Crosby, who doesn't hand out compliments lightly, called Stidham a foxhole guy, a competitor, a guy who elevates the room. And don't forget, the Patriots themselves tried to get Stidham back during the offseason. That tells you a lot about how much respect he commands from the very team he's about to face. There's something poetic about that. Stidham, a former Patriot, returning to face his old squad in a game where no one expects him to thrive. But he's been here before. Remember when he lit up the #1 defense in football in his first start with the Raiders? He's already shown he can handle the moment. He won't shrink. He won't play scared. And that uncertainty is lethal. New England doesn't know what to expect. No recent tape, no tendencies, no obvious weaknesses. That's not just a wild card. It's a tactical advantage. And that advantage is layered. We're not talking about pulling off a miracle. We're talking about a situation that's been building, step by step, into something incredibly dangerous for the Patriots. You don't have to squint to see the outcome here. A rattled rookie quarterback, a busted offensive line, a defense trying to keep up with altitude and tempo. Meanwhile, the Broncos are getting healthier, more focused, and more aggressive. And here's what tells you everything you need to know. That canceled interview. A player agent moved it to next week because, quote, "It's not happening, bro," when asked what if the Broncos lose. That's not arrogance. That's belief from the inside. These players, these coaches, they've seen what's happening in the locker room. They've seen how this team has grown through adversity, how they've rallied after injuries, how they've closed ranks and kept pushing. And now, with the national spotlight off them and the odds stacked against them, they're exactly where they want to be. Overlooked, undervalued, and ready to prove everyone wrong. So Broncos country, you've heard the facts. You've seen the matchups. You've felt the energy. Now it's your turn. Are we about to witness a playoff performance that rewrites the narrative? Are the Broncos primed to take down the Patriots and silence the doubters? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and get ready, because I've got more Broncos content coming your way. You won't want to miss what's next. Check out the videos on the screen now for deeper analysis, and as always, go Broncos!